All right, I'm gonna have to plug this in, which is gonna make it hard to write on, but we will make it work so I can get this done. This is the warm-up that they're gonna have in class on Thursday, because you had asked for Thursday. If you are watching this and you're like, well, where are the other notes? I'm only required to put notes in there when it is a quarantine type situation or a activity type situation where kids talk to me beforehand. If you aren't feeling well, I'll have notes in there if I can, but I don't have time to make notes every day. So this takes a little bit of time. So you need to kind of think about that. Just get yourself healthy, I guess. On this first one, this is the warm-up. So they're going to ask you to state the parent function, and that's when we use our names. So on number 1, okay, this has a squared in it. So we learned that the last 2 days. That means that it is a quadratic. Sorry, it is so hard to write. Hopefully this will work. So this is a quadratic. Okay, that's the type of function. Describe the transformation. So the transformation, you're going to look at what's happening to it. Well, I'm adding 2 inside, so that means that it is a horizontal translation left 2. Okay, and you have to write that complete sentence out. You have to have all the words on that. Okay, if you look at this one outside, okay, that is a vertical translation, and it is down 4. Okay, horizontal translation left 2, vertical translation down 4. The last thing it asks for, and this is how it's going to look on the test, it asks you to sketch the graph and state 5 points. So they had this, they have a graph square with it, but I didn't put one on here, so we'll just sketch it. When I ask you to state 5 points, you can either state them as like 5 coordinates, or some kids make a table, but I actually need you to write me what the points are. Since I know the transformations, I know that it's left 2, and I know that it's down 4. I already have one of my points, left 2, down 4. Okay, I can then put in like a -1. A -1 into this equation would be 1. 1 squared is 1, minus 4 is a -3. That should be a -4. I graphed it, right? So I have a point at 1, -3, which also means I have a point at a -3, -3. Okay, on the next point, I have a point at 0. So, I mean, you can put anything in. I'm just going in order. So if you want to put 25 in, you can put 25 in, but I'd rather not square 27, because if you put 25 in, you'd have to add 2 and square it. So 0 plus 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So I have a point at 0, 0, which also means that I have a point at a -4, 0. Okay, so it looks like this. Yes? Okay, you have to state the 5 points. It is asking you for the 5 points. So what I would like you to do right now is do the same thing on the second question. This was their warm-up. Pause the video and look at this problem and see if you can answer the questions. So pause and try it. Okay, so on this one, it wants me to state the parent function, and I'm going to say, state the parent function. It wants me to state the function. So that would be y equals the absolute value of x. I thought it said name, but it's the end of the day and I am tired. So up here, I'm going back. This should be y equals x squared, because it says state the parent function. So that means it wants the equation, okay? So it wants the actual function. All right, so if I go back to this, state your transformations. The first transformation I see is this negative sign out front. So I'm going to say vertical since it's outside. We talked about that on Wednesday. It's a vertical reflection, and that's all you would put. You don't say over an axis or anything else. We talked about that in class. Okay, the other thing I see is this +5. So then I'm going to say vertical because it's outside the function. It's a translation. and I'm going to say up 5. Okay? So those are the first two questions. The next question is asking me to graph it. Well, it's reflected and it's up 5. So I know that point. And I said a minute ago that I would accept this if you decided to do a table of values. So you can actually do this and say, okay, I have a point at 0, 5. Now if I put in 1, the absolute value of 1 is 1, take the negative of it, and you get 4. So you have a point at 1, 4, which also means you have a point at a negative 1, 4, because it's symmetrical. And if you put in 2, that would be a negative 2 plus 5 is 3. And so you would also have a point at a negative 2, 3. So your graph would look like this. Okay? And these would be the simple ones that you would see. Okay? No dilations on this part. On the next part, I don't know why it says state the domain twice. So it wants me to make a table of values, graph the function, and state the domain and the range. So if I make a table of values, I'm not going to be crazy. Like, I'm going to look at this. I know my table of values, I know that this is going to be shifted right 4, up 6. I know that this thing is going to be shifted right 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that is going to be my vertex. Now, because of this 2 outside, I am going to stretch it. So since I have the 2 outside, I would take and like I could put in 3, right? If I put in 3, 3 minus 4 is a negative 1. The absolute value is 1. 1 times 2 is 2 plus 6 is 8. So I know I have a point at 3, 8, and I also have a point at 5, 8 because it is symmetrical. Okay, and so then I could also put in 6 and 2. Those would give you the same answer. So if I put in 6, that would be 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2 times 4 is, sometimes 2 times 2 is 4 plus 6 is 10. Okay, so that would be the next one. And I know this goes off the graph, and that happens from time to time. And if it does happen like on a test or quiz, just sketch it like that. Okay, so I made a table, I graphed the function, now state the domain and the range. So remember, my domain is all real numbers. It's an absolute value. So it's a negative infinity to infinity. Okay, my range, that is my y values, and my lowest y value is right there at 4, 6. So my y value is the 6. So I'm saying that I'm going from 6 with a bracket to infinity. Okay. So that is my domain and my range. All right, on this problem, they're asking you some questions in your notes, and so if you want to pause it and answer it, that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and write the equation, but if you look at this, it is an absolute value, right? So you know it's an absolute value. I'm going to get those questions. So the questions in here, find them. I don't know why they need copy on this. They didn't. These notes got all backwards. I don't know why I did that. Oh, it wants to know where the x-intercepts are, where the y-intercepts are. So if I look at my x-intercepts, I have an x-intercept at 1, 0 and at a negative 3, 0. Those are my x-intercepts. Those are going to be important to us. I know my y-intercept is at 0, negative 1. Then it says where is the vertex. So that's something completely different. So my vertex is at negative 1, negative 2. Okay, what is the domain and what is the range? So my domain would be from a negative infinity to infinity because it's an absolute value. And my range would be, my lowest point is at a negative 2 with a bracket because it actually hits there to infinity. Okay, the other thing we're going to do in class is we're going to write the equation. So I know it's been moved left 1, so you're going to put a plus 1 inside. We went over that today. And then I know it's been moved down 2, so I'm going to put a minus 2 outside. Okay. On example 3, I would like you to do the same thing. Example 3, x and y intercepts, blah, blah, blah. I would like you to see if you can come up with the equation. Okay. So on this thing, my x-intercept on this, I only have 1. It's at 3, 0. And my y-intercept is at 0, negative 10. Okay? So if I look at this thing, I know it's been reflected because it's going down. and I know it's been moved right 3, and it's a parabola. So to move right 3, I'm going to put minus 3, and I'm going to square it. And then I will put the minus sign out in front because it is a parabola. Right? On the next questions, it's not even asking you to graph, so read the directions. It's saying, is there a max or a min? Which one? Well, if you got to think about what flips it. Most parabolas look like this, so that's when the front number is positive, your A value, your leading coefficient. If it gets flipped, that's when you have a negative sign up front like this. So this graph, it's not even asking me to graph it, it's just asking me to recognize the fact that it's been flipped. So if it's been flipped, then you're going to say that it has a max value. Okay? All right, so the next one, it has a positive 1 in front, which is this one up here. So this one would have a min value, and that's all you have to do. Okay, these are just practices just to kind of show you this quick on the test and on your homework. It just wants you to identify the function. If it's a V, it's an absolute value, right? If it's a parabola, identify the function. Type of function would be a name. So you're going to say quadratic. Okay, on the next one, it is a horizontal line, so that is a constant function. So on your homework tonight, you just have to state the type of function. This is something that we talked about today in class during our exploration already. So I'm going to kind of go through that. I'm not as worried about it. If you missed today, like I said at the beginning, I'm not making videos every single night. I don't have time, but if you email, get a hold of me. Some of you have done a good job of that. Others of you just need to make sure you can communicate as best as you can. You're probably going to have to come in and get some help. Okay, so on this first question, it wants me to graph it. So the first thing I would do is I would say write 3 up 10. So write 3 up 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. It does have a negative in front, which we learned today, makes it flip down. And it does have an A value. So you can just make a table. I know that my vertex is at 310. So I could put 2 in, and that's going to give me the same answer as 4. So if I put 2 or 4 in, if I put 4 in, 4 minus 3, so I'm putting it into the equation. 4 minus 3 is 1, 1 squared is 1, times a negative 2 is a negative 2, plus 10 is 8. So I would have these at 8, right? And then you're going to have to give me 5 points, so wouldn't 5 and 1 also give you the same? So you're going to take the 5, plug it in there. 5 minus 3 is 2, 2 squared is 4. 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8, plus 10 is 2. So you have this point, 1 and 5. So it goes down like this because it has a negative up in front. Okay. On the next one, if I make a table of values, this one you have to think. You have a 1/3. So I'd be smart about the numbers you're going to put in. Like if I put 0 in, 1/3, that would be 0 plus 0 minus 6. So wouldn't that be a negative 6? So I would have a point at 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put in like 3. If I put 3 in, 3 squared is 9. 1/3 of 9 is 3, plus 3 minus 6. So 3 plus 3 is 6, minus 6 is 0. So I have a point there. Okay, maybe I put a negative 3 in. Negative 3 squared is 9. 1/3 of that is 3. But then I'm doing minus 3 minus 6. So I believe that would be a negative 6, which means you can't have a flat line. And I know this is positive. So this thing, I don't know, maybe I put a 9. Okay, 9 squared is 81. 1/3 of that is 27 plus 9. Holy cow, that's really big. So I don't think I want to put in 9. That's kind of scary. So maybe I'll put in 1 because 1 is a decent number, right? Or I could even look here and figure out where the middle of this is. Okay, that might be a good idea. So maybe instead of putting in 1, I want to put in a negative 1 because that's going to be close there. Negative 1 squared is 1, so this would be 1/3 minus 1 minus 6. So that's a negative 7 plus 1/3. So that's going to be a negative 6 2/3, which means a -2 is going to give me the same answer because it's on the other side. So I have 5 points there that I've put in, and this is kind of a weird graph, but I do know it goes up. So some of them might get weird on tonight's assignment, and that's fine. Okay, on this one, write an equation for the graph. I know that it's been shifted 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 2. So this is y, and it's going to be x minus 4 because it's shifted right 4 and down 2. It's pointed up. The only thing I need to check is there a number in front? Well, to check that, if I go over 1, 1 squared is 1. If I go over 2, 2 squared is 4. It is going up 4. So I am doing the parent function. I'm just squaring it, so that does not have a dilation. Okay, if I look at the next one, this thing is going over 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know there's stuff going on here. So it's back 3, so it's going to be a plus 3, and it's going up 4. Okay, I do know that it's been flipped, right? So it's going down, and I know that if I look at this, it should go over 1, down 1. It should go over 2, down 4. But it's not doing that. It's going down 2. And this one is going down 4. So I'm taking my y values and I'm doubling them. So this would be a -2 in front. Okay? Now, some of you are like, how am I ever supposed to do this? Well, you guys have learned how to do this with lines. If you don't know what the slope of a line is, can't you plug in a point? For example, this point is a -2, +2. So let's just pretend for a second that we don't know what that is. I know 2, that's a y value, this is an x value, equals, I'm just going to use an a here. I could use an x, but that just gets confusing, so they like to use the letter a. And I'm going to plug in my x, so -2 plus 3 squared plus 4. Okay, I'm pretending I don't know the -2. So the first thing I would do is -2 to this other side, sorry, -4. So I get a -2 equals a. What is a -2 plus 3? It's 1. 1 squared is 1. So then this is time, so I'm going to divide by 1, and my a value is a -2, which is what I got by counting. So everything in this unit that I do will be countable. Okay? All right, so on these last couple, you just have to state the parent function. So this is an absolute value. And you just have to describe the translation. So this would be vertical because it's outside. Translation, up 3. So pause this and try all of them, please. Pause and try. This one is inside. So you're going to say this parent function is a quadratic. It's inside, so it's a horizontal translation, and it's going to be right 2 because it's a -2, so it's the opposite. Okay, this one is going to be a vertical because it's outside, reflection. Oh, and I forgot to say the parent function, just more writing, it's an absolute value. The next one is an absolute value, but the negative is inside, so you're going to say a horizontal reflection. The next one is a quadratic, and it's outside, so you're going to say vertical dilation of 3. And the last one, since it's a 3 on the inside, it's a horizontal dilation. But remember, those are backwards. So you're going to say of 1/3. Okay? All right, so these are just kind of practice problems. We just have gone over these. I'm going to pause it. You can take a look at them if you want. We're going to practice them. Look at this one. We're going to practice it. Look at this one. We're going to practice it and sketch it. So you can pause those and practice them if you want. But those are the type of practice questions we are going to get to. So so there's the 7th one. You can pause it. There's the 6th one. And there's the 5th one. And I don't know, it's going to depend upon how much time we have. I don't know which ones I will get all the way done, but I'm just kind of putting them on here. If you try them at home and are confused, you can come in and see me.